Welcome to show 2 of this series, Reflections of Reality. We're going to be focusing on the passage Creation 1:1 from the book of Creation. And Dan, give our viewers out there just a quick look ahead at what we're doing.
As humans, how much do we really understand about God? The Egyptians encountered several stumbling blocks in their pursuit to understand Him. And with great frustration, they asked the question, is not a glimpse of understanding better than no understanding at all?
Something is better than nothing. In most cases, that's a logical argument. We might see something a little different or along those lines. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to read Creation 1:1 in its entirety. Mortal knowledge is circumscribed by mortal ignorance, and mortal comprehension is circumscribed by spiritual reality. It is unwise for mortal man to attempt the understanding of that which is beyond his conception, for there lies the road to disbelief and madness. Yet man is man, and ever fated to reach out beyond himself, striving to attain things which always just elude his grasp. So in his frustration, he replaces the dimly seen incomprehensible with things within his understanding. If these things but poorly reflect reality, then is not the reflection of reality distorted through it, maybe, of greater value than no reflection at all? Well, now that you've heard the entire passage, let's take a look at this verse by verse with Dan, beginning with Creation 1:1:1. Mortal knowledge is circumscribed by mortal ignorance, and mortal comprehension is circumscribed by spiritual reality.
This verse speaks of spiritual reality surrounding everything mortal. Spiritual reality is where God lives, but it's not where we live. God then surrounds everything. As we reach out toward God, we grow in our understanding. And as we grow in our understanding, we grow closer to the reality where God lives. As we grow in our understanding of God, our perception of God changes. For instance, if we believe God lives in a wooden statue, our understanding of what God can do for us is no bigger than the statue itself. But if we imagine a God that is greater than the universe itself, there are no limits to what He can do for us.
That really makes sense to me, that if we believe God is a wooden statue, God's no bigger than the statue. That's really something else. Let's move on to the second verse in this passage. It is unwise for mortal man to attempt the understanding of that which is beyond his conception, for there lies the road to disbelief and madness.
I've been here before, Marshall, coming to a place where I stopped putting faith in what I believe because it's just all too confusing. As humans, if we cannot resolve a puzzle, it just becomes a problem to us. And we rationalize and we try to come up with an answer, but it leads us to one of two roads. Either the road leads to disbelief, or some far-fetched, leapy conclusions are reached in attempts to have an answer to a question, regardless of how insane it sounds. A wiser road might be to put the question on hold, continue to grow in understanding, and reach out to God, who provides the answer to all of our questions anyway, and let Him bring it to you when you're ready.
That really resonates with me, because over time I've come to learn that when you're looking at all of your options, you delay for as long as you can to make your decision, because inevitably at the 11th hour, the best option will appear. Always seems to work that way. With that in mind, let's move on to creation 113. Yet man is man, and ever fated to reach out beyond himself, striving to attain things which always just elude his grasp.
Have you ever noticed that every time you learn something new, it just creates a bunch of new questions, which leads you to frustration? At least it does me sometimes. It's the way I am. We seem to think if we can just answer the one question that the whole universe will simply unfold in front of us. Unfortunately, that is never the case. But it doesn't seem to be a part of our makeup to never stop trying. It can be a frustrating cycle because the more we learn, the more we realize we don't have a clue.
Oh, wow. That one hits home. That one hits home. Let's take a look now at creation 114. So in his frustration, he replaces the dimly seen, incomprehensible with things within his understanding.
Since we don't live in a spiritual reality like where God lives yet, we have to look at his homeland from a distance that reveals itself to us in our lack of knowledge about what is really going on where he lives. But as humans, we simply must come to conclusions if we are ever going to make progress, right? And these conclusions may not always be accurate or truthful. However, they might contain a partial truth, a foundation, if you will, upon which we can continue to build our understanding of God and the universe in the future.
That one really goes to the heart of something I've been saying for many years. The greatest truths are by and of necessity simple. I'm very leery of things that are presented as a truth that require 300, 400, 500 pages of text to explain. That's not a great truth, at least not in my book. That's the reason why I love the Kolbrin. It is so laconic. How they can say so much with so few words never fails to amaze me. You know, if somebody tells you they read the Kolbrin over the weekend, make sure you step aside because, see, you could get impaled by the Pinocchio effect of them telling a lie. Trust me, I have spent weeks after reading just one passage trying to understand the full dimension of it. And so let's go to the last verse in this passage, which is 115. If these things but poorly reflect reality, then is not the reflection of reality distorted through it, maybe, of greater value than no reflection at all?
In my opinion, it is always good and profitable to travel towards God. And any compass, however crude it may be, is better than no compass at all. Man throughout the ages, as he has grown in wisdom, has developed better tools by which he navigates the oceans. So by developing our understanding of God, we can do the same thing by providing a brighter and clearer picture of the spiritual reality where God lives. Things that were once taboo or simply just too impossible for us to understand become within our grasp.
But you know, sometimes I do feel like the donkey chasing the carrot on the stick.
Yeah.
But that brings us now to the last part of this show, which is the God question. Dan, you're the one formulating the God questions, and I really enjoy it because you come up with some of the most off-the-wall questions I could have never imagined. And before I give a reading on the question from the previous show, what is the question for this show, which will be answered in show 3, which comes next?
I think for this show, the big question that I have comes from Creation 115, which says that our understanding of God poorly reflects reality. And the question would be, God, What is the greatest challenge that you face in revealing yourself to humans?
Oh, yep. That's one going to be interesting reading. All right. Well, I did a reading on the question from the first show in the series, which is, where should our focus be in representing the true nature of God? And this was for you and for me as we were starting out on this. And so here is the answer. And by the way, we always address this as I am, because this is how Creator refers to himself or herself. And here we go.
God, where should our focus be in representing the true nature of God?
Your focus should follow your interests, as this is your program, your account. Find questions of real integrity. Seek explanations to questions you feel common to seekers of truth. Doctrine and dogma reconciliations only pour doubts upon one's worldview. How did you like that reading, Dan?
A little different than what I was expecting, but wow, he or she puts a lot of emphasis on us expressing who we really are. And that, I guess that was a little bit surprising. So maybe sometimes I would have thought that he would say, I want it done this way and this way and this way, but I think he just wants to see who we are and let us express it in our own way. So we'll do that.
Yes, it's like slowly crawling out on a limb, right?
So something like that, yeah.
All right. Well, the viewers will be the ones to decide whether or not we crawled out to the limb without breaking it.
All right.
And next up in show 3, Sons of Fire, we're going to be doing passage Creation 1-2. And Dan, real quick before we close, give the viewers out there a look ahead at the next show.
There are 2 very important concepts in Creation 1-2. First is what comes first, God, man, or creation? And secondly, the original source for this knowledge.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting show.
Will be.
Look forward to seeing you there.
I'll see you there.